Now, one thing that we are hearing far too much about in the news recently is rising religious persecution all over the world, from crackdowns on Christians in the Middle East and China, to rising anti-Semitism in Europe, to ongoing troubles in places like Nigeria and Pakistan. My next guest is dealing with these issues on behalf of the White House and the U.S. State Department. Please welcome Ambassador at Large for International Religious Freedom, Sam Brownback.
Hey, Mike, it's great to join you and glad to see you back on the air and doing this.
Well, thank you. Since my other job application didn't go real well, I'm, leaning back on something maybe I can do well. Let me start with something regarding the whole process of your appointment, because it was amazing to me that there was any controversy. These are colleagues of yours from the U.S. Senate. You worked with them. They know you.
Well, I mean, that was a great disappointment to me because, and this is a position I helped create 20 years ago when I was in the United States Senate to try to get the State Department to take more seriously international religious freedom, international religious persecution. So I helped create the position, and they knew I knew the topic, but Mike, just the base in the Democrat Party doesn't like the sort of things that I've pushed. As a governor, as a senator, I'm strongly pro-life. There's just a number of issues they didn't like, even though they didn't have a dispute with me on the quality or my knowledge of the job.
Let's talk about the job. Ambassador at Large for International Religious Freedom. Religious liberty is a huge issue across the planet, and many people are persecuted because of their faith specifically. What can you do to help open eyes and doors for people who are under persecution?
There's a range of things, Mike, that we can and hopefully will get done. Even today, I just was on the phone with a senator in a Central Asian country that they had passed today a religious freedom roadmap for their country, and they've been an oppressive regime. But they're saying we want to open up because it's a good topic, but they want to grow their economy. And they see the way forward as really being more of an open society, an accepting society. And in the data now, you can show people places that if you want more security, you should have more religious freedom. If you want more economic growth, religious freedom is a key component of the rights that you need to have of the people in your country. So we push it in countries, we push it on individuals. There are individuals that we advocate for to get them out of jail, or even sometimes, Mike, it's just giving them a name. And by giving that name, you can keep them alive in some cases.
Sam, this president observed National Day of Prayer this week in a more public way than we've seen in many years from a U.S. president. A lot of people of faith are supportive. He has been a champion in many respects of religious liberty, the likes of which I've not seen in my lifetime by Democrats or Republicans. I don't know that he's getting the credit for that.
And he has been an outstanding champion of religious freedom. And he pushes it all the time. We had the president of Nigeria was in Washington this week. President Trump raises the issue of 17 Christians that have been killed this past week in Nigeria, and says, there has to be more security provided for people. I haven't seen those sort of things raised in prior presidencies, and this president raises them all the time. He should be getting an A+ for religious freedom advocacy.
Let's talk China for just a moment. We only have a few seconds left, but I can't open this discussion of religious liberty without talking about a place where there isn't a lot of it. What do you see on the horizon in opening up more opportunities for the Christians in China?
Well, China's been going the wrong way on religious liberty issues, whether it's been the Tibetans or whether it's been the Uyghur Muslim population, and you're seeing more in the Christian population in areas. Now, there are some areas where it's not as bad for Christians. But I just think this is one of the things that we've got to continue to elevate is the human rights and particularly religious freedom aspects. It's a large growing population of people of faith in China and particularly of Christians. I think this is a key part of the dialogue. We need to talk about trade, and we need to talk a lot about it. But I think we also have got to keep this human rights agenda front and center. And remember, too, the Chinese want to put forward a system in the world that's different than ours as an alternative for the world to follow. We need to show people that religious freedom is clearly in our portfolio, and that's something I think the whole world wants to see.
I said I was going to let you go, and I will, but one more question about Iran, most oppressive regime, huge state sponsor of terror. Hope there? Should we be more optimistic that something might change in that incredibly oppressive country?
Yes, and I hope people are praying for Iran. The number of domestic protests taking place in Iran is substantial and growing. The people in Iran are fighting back against the Iranian government, and they've seen the oppression of this system and what it's like to have people's arms amputated or hands amputated for a theft that's taking place, or far worse things happening. So I think really there is time for, there is this moment for us to be pushing on Iran, obviously on the missile issue and on nuclear weapons, but also on human rights for the Iranian people, because then you get right at the heart and soul of what Iran is doing to their own people, and it's an atrocity what they're doing.
Ambassador Sam Brownback, thank you so much for joining us. Our privilege to have you here. Thank you.
Mine, Mike. Take care.
All right. We're all going to be praying for the success of Sam Brownback, and if you'd like to learn more about his office, it's a part of the U.S. State Department, and there's a page on their website. Go to state.gov and search the Annual Report of International Religious Freedom. It's a very sobering read about what's happening in our world.